Alright, so for this video, we're going to be ranking the top 10 point guards in the NBA so far this season. I won't be looking at the team's record or how the team is doing together, just the player by itself and how they're doing statistically. Alright, so let's get into the honorable mention, and the first one is Malcolm Brogdon. And when he signed with the Pacers, I honestly thought he made a big mistake signing with them because, he left Milwaukee and, they had Giannis with them, and I thought, they're probably going to make the finals this season. But he's really become a much better player ever since signing with the Pacers, he's averaging nearly 18 a game, and, the Pacers are actually pretty high in the standings in the Eastern Conference. One thing he's definitely improved on is passing. Before he wasn't really known as much of a passer, but now he can easily get you 10 or 12 assists a night. Maybe even a triple-double here and there. Alright, so next up is Chris Paul, and he's actually been pretty surprising because everyone thought the Thunder was just going to die after Westbrook and Paul George left. And with him being the leader of the Thunder, he's really one of the only reasons that the Thunder are still in the playoff talks. And I actually think that even though he might get traded, the team that he goes on to next will probably benefit a lot from him. Personally, I hope he does get traded to the Heat, but only time will tell. Next honorable mention is Ben Simmons, and I really wanted to put him in the top 10, but come on, we all know that he's not having the best season ever. Trust me, his passing and rebounding get him really close to the number 10 spot, but honestly, we all know there's 10 other people in the league that are better than him. I do think he will step it up eventually, but we'll just have to see. Alright, so the next honorable mention is Terry Rozier. And I'm not really sure why he didn't sign with the Celtics. I mean, he could have been a really good backup for Kemba Walker, and he's not really going to do anything for Charlotte in the next couple of years, and that contract signing was really the best decision for him. Okay, but seriously, he's actually doing really solid. He's averaging 18 a game, and he hasn't really led the Hornets to any sort of wins, but that's besides the point. Alright, and the last honorable mention is Derrick Rose, and I really wanted to put him in the top 10, but I can't do that. There are clearly a lot of other better players on the list on this, But he just had that 7-game win streak where he had 20 plus points. The last time he did that was his MVP season. And ever since he went to the Timberwolves, he's actually improved his passing drastically, and he can get you about 9 to 10 assists a night. And let's hope he keeps that starting spot from now on, because let's be honest, who's better, Bruce Brown Jr. or Derrick Rose? Alright, so let's get into the top 10, and at our number 10 spot we have Ja Morant. And going into the season, I honestly thought Zion would win Rookie of the Year. I mean, he still can, because he's going to be coming back soon, but he's been injured for a while. But then I looked at RJ Barrett, because I thought since he was a second overall pick, he would do really good. But he's not doing bad, but he could definitely be doing better. And now there's Ja Morant. I mean, look at him. He's doing incredibly good. He's averaging nearly 18 a game, and he's led the Grizzlies to the 8th seed over the Trailblazers and the Spurs. I mean, besides him, Valanciunas, and Jaren Jackson Jr., who else really is there for a scoring option on the team besides those three, or really to do anything else? I mean, Valanciunas and Jaren Jackson Jr., they're not elite players, but Ja Morant's really close to that, and he's definitely going to be an all-star and an MVP candidate in the future. But I can't really rank him much higher because, he's only a rookie, and, I do think he will be in the top 5 or even top 3 in the future. Up at number 9, we have Devonte Gray. From going unheard of in his rookie seasons to a most improved player candidate, Devonte Gray has really become a shocker this season. I mean, he's averaging 18 a game, and he's doing better than Terry Rozier, who was thought to be the leader of the team, but clearly that's not the case. And I honestly think he will be an all-star in the next few years, because this is just the beginning of his career, and he's only going to be getting better as it goes on. And even though they're not a playoff team this season, they're definitely going to be a playoff team next season, because he's only going to get better, and with the help of Terry Rozier, they're definitely going to be in the playoffs by the next season. At number 8, we have Collin Sexton, and he's averaging 19 points a game, doing better than I expected, But the thing is, he's on a bad Cavaliers team, and I think if he were to go to a better team, he would become a much better player. And I honestly think the Cavs should go full rebuild mode and trade Kevin Love. So Collin, he's mainly the leader of the team now, and they get some young players for Kevin Love. But it's gonna be a rough ride for Collin Sexton over the next few years, since nothing much is gonna happen in Cleveland unless, like I said, Kevin Love does get traded, and they'll most likely get some draft picks out of that, and they'll definitely become a playoff team after that. Okay, maybe not, but if Kevin Love is out of the equation, then Collin Sexton, he'll definitely be a better player. At number 7, we have Kyle Lowry, and he's been quite a shocker, because he is getting older, but he's still averaging 20 a game, and well, a lot of that is due to Kawhi Leonard leaving, but that's still a surprise because he is not getting any younger. He's still as good of a passer as he ever has been, and I don't think the Raptors are going to be much of a playoff threat anymore, but they're still probably going to get to the second round or something, but probably not past that. Lowry is still a great 3-point shooter, but that's not really going to help them because, let's be real, when he gets to the 3-point contest, he'll choke as always. Okay, that's besides the point, but I still have to point that out. And for Lowry's size, he can actually get quite a lot of rebounds, and he can maybe even get you a triple-double here and there. Overall, Lowry is still a great player, but his kryptonite, the playoffs, they always tend to stop him. Unless he's in the finals, well, even though that has only happened once, but he still played great. Next is number 6, and that is Spencer Dinwiddie. And this was expected, because Spencer Dinwiddie for a few years, he's always been a great player, and even without Kyrie, he does better since Kyrie's not a good leader. Okay, that might be wrong, but you gotta admit, he's pretty harsh on his teammates, even when it's his fault for not winning games, and he just blames it on his teammates. And Spencer, he's a great backup point guard for Kyrie, or he might play shooting guard if Kyrie does play. Well, I mean, he is playing now, but let's be real, Kyrie, he kind of does ruin the team's chemistry. This is about Spencer Dinwiddie, not Kyrie, so let's go back to him. For his size, he's a great passer, and he can get you about 6 to 7 a game. But I really expect a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie to be a lot better than that, since point guards, they're honestly known to be good 3-point shooters, but he's not really doing that good. Up at number 5, we have Kemba Walker, and I expected him to be higher on this list, but this is his first time with actually good teammates, and not garbage ones like he did have on the Hornets. That might be a bit harsh, but it's true. Anyway, but that might be the reason he's not averaging as much as he used to, because he has to pass the ball a lot more, and he doesn't actually have to backpack anymore. But he can still get you 22 a night, and that's still really good, and that's enough for him to make the top 5. One thing he does have to improve though is passing the ball more. I mean, I did just say that he has to pass a lot more, but that's because on the Hornets he didn't really have anyone to pass to, and his numbers have gone up a bit for assists, but he still has to get more. He also isn't that great of a defender, and he has to improve a bit. And I'm not saying all point guards should be good defenders, but again, they shouldn't be bad defenders, should they? Number 4, we have Zach LaVine. Before I get into his stats, can I just say, please leave the Bulls. Alright, so LaVine's a great scorer. He can get you about 25 a game, which is pretty much MVP stats, even though he isn't an MVP candidate, but I honestly think he might be in the future, but that's only if he does leave the Bulls. And I bet the Timberwolves really regret trading him for Jimmy Butler, because as we can all see, that experiment didn't work out as they thought, and Butler pretty much just cussed out the entire team for not trying. I definitely do think he will be an all-star in a year or two, but I mainly just hope he gets traded or leaves the Bulls and goes to an actual contender or something. At number 3, we have Russell Westbrook, and I'm not that big of a fan of Westbrook, mainly for his cocky attitude, but I can't deny that being on the Rockets, it's actually kind of changed his game, mainly because he can't be a ball-dominant player anymore with James Harden, and that's actually probably the best thing that ever happened to him, because now the Rockets, they're actually a really good contender for the playoffs. I mean, everyone thought that the Rockets, their chemistry would be completely over, and you know that, like I said in a previous video, there would have to be 2 balls on the court with those two on, since they're both ball dominant players. But that's clearly not the case, you know. And even though Harden, he's stopped Westbrook from averaging a triple-double anymore, which I'm pretty sure everyone saw coming, that still doesn't stop Westbrook from, you know, having a good impact on the floor, because he's averaging 24, 7, and 7, which are great numbers, you know, especially with him and Harden on the floor. And I'm pretty sure Westbrook is just what the Rockets needed, because with Chris Paul, he started shooting only 3-pointers when he got on the Rockets and stopped shooting a lot of mid-range shots. And as we all know, Westbrook, he's not a good 3-point shooter, so he mainly just shoots mid-range shots and drives to the paint. And you know, the Rockets, they're not much of a mid-range scoring team. All they do is score 3-pointers. So yeah, that Westbrook trade, it was pretty ideal for the Rockets, and they're actually a legit contender now. At number 2, we have Damian Lillard, aka the franchise killer. And Lillard, he's doing his usual game by averaging 27, 4, and 7. And you know, even though the Blazers, they might actually miss the playoffs because of someone. I made that joke in the last video. What am I doing? Okay, but seriously, even though the Blazers, they might miss the playoffs, that's not really Damian Lillard's fault. You know, it's kind of the whole team's fault. And you know, there's only so much a guy can do. And you know, he's putting up MVP numbers. But seriously, I think in the second half of the season, they will step it up and they'll actually make the playoffs, but not make a whole lot of noise in it, obviously, because Westbrook's going to be looking for redemption, obviously. And Lillard, he won't have to worry about the Warriors anymore, because, you know, they're the worst team in the league. And finally, at number 1, please don't hate me, it's Trey Young. And I know a lot of people think that he shouldn't be number 1, but we can't deny the fact that he's putting up incredible numbers, putting up nearly 30 points a game, while also averaging 4.5 boards and getting 8.5 assists with that. And even though he's not an MVP candidate, he's still putting up MVP numbers. Like, let's be real, how many other players are putting up nearly 30 a game? Besides Luka, he's the only guard that's putting up 30 points, and Luka, he does play small forward usually. And considering how young he is, being the most voted guard in the Eastern Conference is saying a lot, considering he's only 21 years old. And like a lot of these players, I do think he will be an MVP in the future, but that's kind of a long way to come, since, you know, he has a lot of expectations being traded for Luka. And even though we do know that Luka Doncic is a better player than Trey Young, we can't deny that both teams, the Hawks and the Mavericks, they did get a win-win trade. I mean, the reason the Mavericks are doing better than the Hawks is because they have more pieces than the Hawks actually do, because, you know, the Mavs, they have Kristaps and Tim Hardaway Jr., and, you know, that's like pretty much a big 3 right there. And the Hawks, they have Trey Young, John Collins, who is a pretty solid player, and Kevin Huerter, who is okay, I guess. Alright, so that's pretty much gonna do it for this video. You know, as always, leave a like, subscribe, and make sure you put on the bell notification to be notified when I put on another video. Alright, so I'll see you in the next video. Peace.